Hi guys, Going Green Mom here with another Foodie Friday. Today I've got my version of a low histamine omelet. Now, if you're thinking, wait, I didn't think we could have eggs, realize that everyone reacts to things a little bit differently. Egg whites supposedly are a problem. I don't notice that I have too many issues with eggs in their whole form if I'm smart about it and only use a reasonable number of eggs. So I am going to be using 2 eggs in this recipe. I could have gone to 3, based on the amount of filling I'm putting in it. I probably couldn't have eaten a 3-egg omelet. But some things that will help with reducing the amount of reactions if you have reactions to eggs. You can try using a different type of egg, whether that's a duck egg, a goose egg, a turkey. I guess turkeys have eggs. Try quail eggs. You just play around with it a little bit and watch how much of it you're eating. If you have major issues with eggs, by all means, this is probably not a good recipe for you. Maybe you would want to try doing this as a wrap instead. But then the other way I can deal with one element of a dish being higher histamine is by using naturally antihistamine foods in addition to that item. So I'm controlling the quantity of my eggs. I also have been trying to up the quality of my eggs. Here lately, the egg production at the home, I guess gardeners around here, that production is ramping back up now that the days are getting longer, so I can get higher quality farm fresh eggs. But I have also been getting some eggs from the store that are like cage free, and those do seem to be better quality than the everyday run-of-the-mill egg. Now, I'm also using a medium onion here. That is probably a bit much considering it is just me eating this omelet. I easily could have gone down to a half, but then it's like, what would I have done with the other half? And it would have gone to live in the fridge, which is gonna, So anyway, I just used the whole thing. I like onion. When you cook an onion and let it kind of release its juices naturally, especially if you add some butter in, it will start to caramelize and become nice and tasty and sweet. And radishes kind of do the same thing. They give up that bite that they have when they're raw, and they just become a nice, slightly sweet, honestly, I got into radishes this way as a potato replacement when I cut potatoes out because I didn't know I could throw them in the Instant Pot. So, and I'm sure they are much lower carb than potatoes are. I don't know that for sure, but that would be my guess, is that they're lower carb. So I'm just kind of moving these around, making sure they don't stick. I'm going to add some kale here. Kale is not necessarily antihistamine, but it's definitely high nutrient. It's high protein and has lots of micronutrients in there to help our bodies out. And if you're unaware, one root cause of histamine intolerance is vitamin deficiencies. So having a nutrient-rich diet is definitely a good thing to have. Now I am just using kale from the store. I don't have my kale in the garden quite yet, but soon I will have that coming from there. If you haven't grown kale, it is very easy to grow, and it is frost hardy. It's a little less forgiving of high heat. It sort of slows down or stops growing. But anyway, I am pulling this off of the pan because, as I mentioned before, this is an omelet. So and honestly, if I was doing this on my own, what would I have probably done? I probably would have cracked a couple of eggs right on top of all that and scrambled it in. But if I really want an omelet, this is what I would do. And another way I am kind of keeping the histamine on this low is by only using 2 eggs. I easily could have gone up to 3. It would have probably been a little bit easier to work with in the pan. I add a little bit of water. You can also add milk if that's preferred. It just kind of helps combine the yolks and the whites and the, if you're using more, it helps them fluff up a bit. When the kids are home, I will typically do 2 eggs per person plus 1. And that has been a pretty good formula over the years for how many eggs should be in the omelet. Now, other options for adding toppings to this that you could have put in your mix. Carrots would have been a good option. I definitely was meaning to put garlic in. Garlic is another natural antihistamine. So that would have been excellent and given it yet another flavor in there. Please ignore that my stove is not perfectly clean. Some of it is just not there anymore. Because this stove is probably 25 years old now. And slightly off level. So you are seeing me sort of move it around so that side that I ran the egg back over to can get cooked. I'm just making sure it didn't stick in the middle and then giving that a little bit of time. It will sort of naturally steam when you put the lid on there, so I don't have to completely flip it. And then I'm going to add the filling back in just sort of across the center so that I can fold up the sides after they are completely cooked. And of course, now you get to see me mangle this because I had too much filling. But you know what the good part about that is? I can tell you that it doesn't affect the taste if it isn't perfectly pretty. So now the next thing is not hitting the camera while I get this onto a plate. Lunch is ready.